Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Hey there, REBallers. You know what they say, practice make perfect. And that was Here Come the Suns by the Beatles guitar lesson. So in our real estate journey, whether you flipping homes or adding rentals, slums are just part of the game. But hey, remember this, the sun will shine again and you'll pull through. So today I got a really impressive lineup of seasoned real estate investors sharing how they bounce back from their slumps, what to avoid when desperation hits, and of course, I'll wrap up with my own takeaways for you. If you have enjoyed our videos and found value in this channel, can you do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button? It helps us more than you know and allows us to help more people to reach financial freedom through real estate investing. Thanks and enjoy this episode. I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432 or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com. This episode is brought to you by Jet Lending. For over 20 years, Jet Lending has been helping real estate investors succeed. They offer 100% financing so you can be in at $0 at closing. I can always count on Jet Lending to fund my deals. If you're looking to fund your next deal, contact our friend over at jetlending.com. This episode is brought to you by National Real Estate Insurance Group, a national independent insurance agency specifically for real estate investors. I personally use NREIG for my investment properties. They offer a low monthly payment option to help you to lower your cash out of pocket when buying an investment property. If you're looking for insurance coverage for your flips or your rental, reach out to them. You can click on the link in the show descriptions, or you can reach out to Jules at 816-946-8443. So first of all, what is a slump? Well, if you go for a month or 2 months without buying a house, that's a slump. If you've been buying 5 to 10 houses a month and suddenly you're down to 1 to 2, yep, that's a slump. So I go and ask 5 different real estate investors these questions. Here's question number 1. When you're in a slump, what do you do to get out of it? Let's hear from Rita Tower, who's been crushing in this industry for 11 years.
Well, I've only been in a buyer slump one time, and I'm totally kidding. With regularity. The first thing above all other things is I trust the process. I just have to trust the process. The process being, am I getting in enough homes? Am I getting into enough appointments? Am I booking enough appointments based on the number of leads that I'm getting? And am I doing all of the things that I know I need to be doing in the business? My follow-ups, answering the phone, all of those things, all of my processes that are in place. I trust in that process. I review that process and I make sure that those numbers are where they need to be. And I find this to be incredibly valuable, and I do it every single time this happens. The number one thing I do is that I make sure to get around other people in the business, period. Whether that's a mixer that someone's hosting, a jet function that they used to have, a networking function, some type of function where I can get around people. I might call a few of my buddies and do a happy hour with them. Something along those lines to where I'm around people who are doing this at a high level.
Great insight, Rita. Now let's hear from Benny Benavides with 20 years in the game.
I cry about it for a minute, and then I get over it, and then I just kind of check all my numbers. I check them, make sure that I've been following everything that I should have been following. Sometimes we get complacent because things are going good, and we start forgetting the basics of what we should be doing and how we're buying them. If I'm not buying anything, I'll look at my appointments and see, was I only there for 20 minutes? Am I rushing through appointments? And then if so, I need to slow down. Check my calendar, make sure I'm not overdoing myself as far as putting too much on my plate, and then nothing's getting done. And then when it comes down to it, now I'm not buying nothing, I'm not selling nothing, and I'm upset because of everything I've been doing. And I just didn't have a good plan. I put too much on my plate. So I look at all that. I stay positive on everything. There's no sense of being negative. If you're in this business long enough, you're going to hit a slump. Your slump is relative to what you do. If you're used to buying X amount of properties, but you're still buying a good amount, there's no need to be upset about it, and just reevaluate what you've been doing. I just check all that stuff. Just check my life and see what I've been doing. Maybe it's just everything else besides work. I get invited to go to dinners or go out to lunches that turn into an all-day thing. Well, that's going to create your slump.
Awesome stuff, Benny. Up next, we got Clint Yates, a 23-year veteran in the real estate business.
Okay, so I would say not much anything different other than really just kind of believing in the system and not changing anything, because eventually the tide will turn and it will pick up for you. So a lot of, how to get yourself out of slump is I see people maybe pull back from advertising because they can't get any good leads. And I would say that's probably the worst thing you could do, although it's tough. You're spending whatever you're spending every month and you're getting nothing out of it. So the natural reaction may be to cut back on your overhead. But the second you maybe cut back on your leads, you're really killing your business because that is your source of leads. So sticking with it and waiting for the tide to turn, really. So, just don't change anything. Do what you've always done. This business is an up and down business. And I guess really understanding you're going to go through slumps and then you're going to hit that on fire period to even out the slump. So but the biggest thing to do to get out of a slump is keeping your attitude positive and realize your time will come. It'll change.
How about that, huh? Now let's turn to Mark Greiner, who has been at this real estate investing game for 13 years.
Well, slumps come and go because obviously just like anything else, there's peaks and valleys. First thing I do, I think is really important is exercise and diet. I know that sounds cliche, but that does make a difference. If you eat really clean and you get some movement going on your body, that's one of the things that I incorporate. The main thing that I do is mindset because, you get into the weeds of just overplaying whatever is kind of bringing you down or stressing you out. So first thing I'll do is a little exercise that I call a brain dump. And all it is literally writing out, journaling out everything that you can think of that's on your mind. It could be anything. And then once you do that, you rate that on importance. So at least it's all out there. And I think that really just gives you some clarity on, what you need to prioritize as far as your next thing you need to do. And then mindset is also every single morning before I even get out of bed, I literally set my mind into thinking about the things I'm thankful for. It can be the simplest little thing, even if you're in a funk or a slump and maybe not happy, it can have something struggling with the day. I really break it down to the simplest things that I'm thankful for. And it's really hard to think of anything that's negative when you're, thinking about positive things. It can be talking about my health, be talking about, my family, whatever I'm thinking at the time. I just literally put that into the first thing for the day. That sets my day off.
And last, but definitely not least, Eddie Gant, the most seasoned of us all.
Here's something I learned a long time ago. For people that don't know me, I worked for the Hilti Corporation for about 11 years. I started off as a civil engineer for them. Then I moved into sales and sales management. When I was in sales in Dallas-Fort Worth, my manager was a great sales guy. He was a great sales leader. He just knew it backwards and forwards, and he taught me this. So I still use it today, but the tip is when you're in a slump, when you think you're done for the day, you've absolutely put in your 8 hours, for us 12 hours in real estate. You've put in your 12 hours, you're beat, you're dead tired, but you're in a slump. Make 2 more calls. When you think you're done, make 2 more calls. And I say calls. I guess you could text, you could email, but there's nothing more effective than a phone call still today in the world of, you know, the younger generation coming along, technology where it is today. Make 2 more calls. And if you'll do that on a consistent basis, and I don't mean just do it once a week, once a month, do it every day at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 p.m., whatever it is, make you 2 more calls.
The next part is, okay, we all know slump happens to the best of us. Slump can lead to some desperate move that we might regret later. So here's the questions that I ask all of the guests. Once you're in that slump, what's the big don't? What are the things you try to avoid doing out of desperation? Let's start with Rita.
That follow-up question is just as important as the first question. And my answer to that is you will be so, if you're in a slump, you're trying to get out of the slump, you need to be really diligent to not overpay. I have spent many of times running numbers when I'm in a slump and I think I can push because you're doing whatever you can, and you have to ignore that pull to overpay because there's never a situation in which that's going to end up being okay. And so just don't overpay. Stick to your numbers no matter how long you've been in a slump, no matter what your slump looks like. Stick to your numbers, and it will test you. It will be very, very difficult to do that because you just want to buy. You just want some type of momentum to get out of your slump, but resist every effort on your intuition that is telling you, just get this contract. Stick to your numbers.
Great advice, Rita. Let's hear from Benny Benavides.
Just don't stop. Reevaluate what you've been doing. And what I like to do, what's my favorite thing is I'll call people. We all have somebody we kind of trust, you know, and you're okay with opening up and being vulnerable with them. And so I'll talk to them. I'll tell them, hey, this is what's going on. I had this conversation with a buddy probably a year ago. My profits were cut in half. I was making $50,000 on flip on average. And now they're in the low 20s. And I was telling him, and we're going through it. And he's like, man, it's just the market right now. You bought what you were buying. You just got to get through what you have. Get through all of those. And now you know when you're buying these, you need to buy them a little bit lower or be a little more stringent. But I had somebody I could talk to and be okay with, hey, I'm not making what I was making. What do you think? And have that person that's just not going to make fun of you. Maybe he can for a little bit because it's funny, you know, as a true friend, but actually can have corrective criticism. So having that one person or two or a group or whoever that you can talk to about the things and kind of open up your books and be truthful with it. It's like, hey, this is what's going on, because they can't help you if you're lying to them, you know, or you're not being, you know, you don't have to tell everybody everything, but be as truthful as you can be. That way they can give you some good advice. So I think for me, I've created some good relationships over the years, and I have some people I'll talk to, and I'm okay with it.
Thanks, Benny. Awesome tips. Up next is Clint.
And it's hard, all right, because like I said, when you're in that slump, you're just trying to get a deal. And I think emotions may take over a little bit because you're just trying to get a deal. You buy a deal you should not have bought. And once you've got that bad deal, now not only you frustrated with the money you're spending on advertising, not getting a deal, and now you've got a bigger problem because now you've got a deal you're probably going to lose money on. So not only are you behind the 8 ball with what you spent for the year, now you've got to make up for, you know, what you lost on a property you shouldn't have bought. So, you know, do not reach for a deal, and it's hard. Gosh, it's so hard. You just want a deal, and that's probably the worst thing we can do is just want a deal. You got to wait. You got to wait till the numbers are good, and that's hard.
Solid points, Clint. Solid. And wrapping it up with Eddie.
Forever, and certainly in real estate, I try not to make short-term decisions. I try to make all long-term decisions. Now, I'll say there's one situation I can honestly tell you that it's okay to make short-term decisions, and that's when you're out of cash or you're very close to being out of cash. You can see the cash is drying up. Then I think it's okay to make a short-term decision, and the main one there is you sell a house at a discount. You sell a house for less than you know you can. You do it for cash, and you do it for cash now because you got to be able to maneuver to pay all your other bills. So back to the original question, what do I not do? I try not to make any short-term decisions, but I don't want to be a hypocrite here and say this is one time where it's okay.
So here's question number 3. This business is full of ups and downs, and slumps are just part of the ride. So what is your advice for investors to anticipate or to prepare for these moments? Kicking things off, we got Eddie again.
Well, I've never figured out the secret sauce to take the roller coaster ride out. I have. It's still there today. And I actually had a conversation similar to this last week. And if I could ever figure out how you can level it out over time without this, you probably bottle that and sell it for a lot of money. But I've never been able to do that, honestly. So how do you do it? I'm going to say the answer to your question to help somebody here is a mindset. When you're in a low of lows, you got to understand if you keep true to your efforts and assuming you're making good decisions, the up is going to come. You just got to make it come a little quicker maybe by your added effort and your efforts every day.
Again, Eddie, great insight. Now let's hear from Benny.
You have to start early, make a budget, make sure your marketing is in there, all your overhead, and then you. So creating a budget for the year, for your marketing, for everything will help you manage your expectations and help you manage your money and let you know what you can and can't be doing. And it's a good guide. So if you do hit that slump, you're not freaking out. You've already budgeted for it, right? And you can make better decisions and not panic. If things aren't selling, use the network of people that are around you to talk to them about it and figure out what you should or shouldn't be doing or where you may be falling short on certain things. If you're buying houses, maybe quit buying them, wholesale them. And maybe work something out with the lenders. If it's private lenders, some of them, they'll give you equity in the property. If you're running short on cash, maybe wholesale it to you and the lender. Get a little money out of it, and just be straightforward with the lenders and what you want to do, what you're trying to do. That's why relationships are super important. Never think you're too big, that you've made it. I know a lot of guys that have been this for years, and they struggle too. They all have their bad years. Life happens, stuff happens, and they need a little help from time to time. So having a good budget for the year and having a good network of people around you. And pick the people that have been around for a while. It's not a lot of newer guys or newer people. Try to find some that have been around a while, that have seen some of the ups and downs, and that are willing to help you. I think that would be the best thing for any new person to do.
Thanks, Benny. Just solid advice there. Next up, we got Clint.
They don't understand the capital it really costs to run a flipping business. And a flipping business means you always need to be buying homes, not you buy one, you fix it up, you sell it, and then you go buy another one. To me, that's a hobby. But to run this as a business, there's a lot of money moving, and whatever your magic number is, but yeah, you got to have some money to get you through the bad times, where you kind of like when you're on the good times, you got to make what you can make, and then you can't go spend it like you're a millionaire. Go buy your fancy car and your Louis Vuittons. You still got to drive your Civic and get you a Coach purse or whatever that is. Don't live large. There's ups and downs, and you got to keep a level head in the downs, and you got to keep a level head when you're in the highs.
Yeah, that LV purse not going to feed you when you're hungry.
Nope. And you may have to go turn it into the pawn shop and get a quarter on the dollar that you paid for it.
Love that. Love it. Love it, Clint. Moving on to Mark Greiner.
Going back to really knowing your numbers and keeping consistent. There's different processes. I see different people, that will either not go on appointments if they're presuming that it's not going to work, or whatever the situation is. I recommend getting in front of as many home sellers as you possibly can. So I literally go on every appointment, even if it sounds like they're really not motivated, because when you get in front of them, you find out a different story, and just really asking a lot of questions.
And finally, wrapping it up, we got Rita.
You know, I don't know that I have as good of an answer for that, because I've been doing this a while. I've experienced slumps. I've gotten out of slumps, and I've experienced slow points in the business. Not even slow points, but not performing as I have set an expectation to perform, or number of properties that I want to do. And it all goes back to your processes that you have in place, I think. So although I don't have a great answer for that, because I haven't figured it out as well. I get bummed. I get, if things are slower, I'm so used to a very fast-paced job, lots to do. And if it's a little bit slower, I have a more difficult time saying, okay, it's slower, but that's okay. So I haven't figured out the piece to kind of stay here, because it is like this a lot. So I'll tune into this episode to see maybe what someone else has to say about that and incorporate it into my work life, because I still struggle with that one.
Yeah, I think that's a hard one. As far as your heart rate go, you do want it to go up and down on the monitor, but
That's about it.
To make our business more steady.
Yep.
All right, so here's my summary and final words. These slumps happen to all of us. It's just part of the journey. And from my own experience, the first thing to do is check your numbers. If you're not sure what number to focus on, go back and watch our episode on must-know KPIs. I'll put the link up here for you. And then look at your appointment to lead ratio. Check if you are making good offers, and make sure that you are not rushing through your appointments. Okay? Each of our guests here share valuable tips, but the common thread, and I completely agree, is to stay positive and lean on your peers for support. Surround yourself with a strong network, keep your head up, and remember, the sun will come out again. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. By the way, help us out. Leave a comment to help us with the algorithm. We really appreciate it. I really try hard to put content together, so let me know what you want to hear, what you want to learn. Share your journey with us. Love to hear from you. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.